Hello dear students, it's our very first lecture and today I am going to start unit number 1, that is metal ligand bonding in transition metal complexes. Before switching directly towards limitations of VBT, we just talk about or we revise the coordination chemistry that yet we studied. So in order to explain the nature of bonding in transition metal complexes, generally three main theories are used. First one is valence bond theory, which is called as VBT, then crystal field theory, that is CFT, and the third one is ligand theory, ligand field theory, LFT, or that is molecular orbital theory, MOT. Now all these theories, they explain us well about the nature of bonding in transition metal complexes. Now we are dealing here with coordination compounds, means complexes, and as we know that complex is made by a metal ion and ligand, and actually the systematic study of this coordination compound, it began with two scientists, Alfred Werner and Jorgensen. If you remember, Werner theory was based on the assumption of two types of valencies of metal ion, of course. One is primary and another one is secondary valency. Werner also carried out one experiment to show these two types of valencies. If you remember or you tried to remember that he did one experiment, he is having complexes, that is CO, Cl3 and 6NH3. So in complex COCl3 NH3 thrice, he reacted the sample or that complex with AgNO3, and every time depending upon the number of valencies, secondary valencies, we get the 1 mole of AgCl, then 2 mole of AgCl and 3 mole of AgCl, and by carrying that experiment, he prove the types of valencies given by the metal ion. Werner was the first to postulate the directional nature of the coordinate bond also, and thereby making possible application of these structural principles to the coordinate compound. Then this second theory given by, that is valence bond theory, was developed by Pauling. In this theory, coordination compound contains again complex ion in which ligand form coordinate bond to the metal, and thus ligand must have a lone pair of electron because it is donating pair of electron to metal, and metal must have an empty orbital of suitable energy because it is accepting, metal ion is accepting electron pair to form a bond. And the geometry of complex was explained by using the principle of hybridization, while the magnetic properties were explained using inner and orbital configuration, if you remember. And these theory contribute a great service in the coordination chemistry for a long time. But however, this theory suffers from various limitations. So we need a new theory, and the new theory arrived, which is known as crystal field theory, that is CFT. Now, what are the reasons for which we feel we need a new theory? Means, what are the limitations of this well known valence bond theory? Now let's discuss the limitations of valence bond theory, or we can say a need for a new theory. So very first limitation or drawback is this VBT gives much importance to metal ion, while the role of ligand is always ignored in most of the cases or most of the complexes. Then second one, This VBT fails to explain the relative stability of complexes. Means what? Some complexes of Fe3, it form both octahedral as well as tetrahedral complexes, but chromium 3 forms only octahedral complexes. What is the reason? It is not explained by VBT. Then the third drawback is VBT fails to account for well known tendency of copper 2 ion to form only distorted octahedral complexes. Copper 2 ion generally form a distorted octahedral complex, even though we know that it forms six ligands are there. Coordination number is 6, means equal ligands are there, symmetric ligands are involving there, but still, and if all the 6 ligands they are same, still copper 2 always form distorted octahedral complex. Again, this is not explained by VBT. Then the fourth one, this VBT is unable to explain the magnetic behavior of complexes having metal ion with D8 configuration, such as Ni2 plus, Pb2 plus, Au3 plus, etc. These are all ions, metal ions, which is having its D electronic status as D8. And according to VBT, all these square planar complexes of Ni2 plus, means again Ni2 plus square planar complexes having D8 electronic configuration, they are all diamagnetic, means all are paired there, all electrons in each orbital they are paired, and therefore they show diamagnetic property. But it is not always true, because paramagnetic square planar complexes of Ni2 plus is also known, but it is not explained by VBT. So this is one of the drawback of VBT. According to VBT, CuNH3 4 2 plus, this complex has one unpaired electron in its outer pz orbital. So it should have high tendency to form CuNH3 3 plus by losing that electron. We know that each system try to get or try to attain stability. So suppose this CuNH3 2 plus or Cu2 plus, it is having only one unpaired electron, then what he generally try to do, he just try to lose or donate its electron, and therefore the outermost shell it attain that D0, and that will be, we know that when d orbital they are having 0 or half filled or it is completely filled, it will be more stable complex. Okay, so generally these complex try to lose it, but such conversion never happens or never take place. So what is the reason? Then the last one, this complex fails to sixth one is this VBT or fail to explain the absorption spectra of complexes. You never heard before while studying coordination chemistry in various theories given by whether Werner theory or Pauling theory, that this absorption spectra word was missing. So all these theories or fail to explain the absorption spectra of complexes. Electronic transition, that is DD transition, is not possible between d orbital because they are having same energy according to VBT. And also the number, as they don't know or they don't explain the absorption spectra, how it is possible that they give the number, position and intensity of absorption bands of complexes? It is not possible. Then the last drawback of the VBT is that VBT does not explain the kinetics of various reactions involving complex. With these drawbacks, it is necessary. So many drawbacks are given here by which is where VBT fails to explain all these conditions. So now it is necessary to have a new theory that could overcome all these difficulties, or that theory can explain all the drawbacks that is not explained by VBT. And therefore we need a new theory, and that new theory comes up which is known as crystal field theory, means CFT. Before again switching over directly to CFT, as CFT deals here with d orbitals, so we just discuss about the shapes of d orbital. We know that 5 d orbitals are there. Each orbital is having capacity to attain 2 electrons, means d orbital can attain 10 electrons the most. Now how many d orbitals are there? 5 d orbitals are. Which are they? dxy, dyz, dxz, dx square minus y square, and dz square. These are the 5 d orbitals, and as you can see here, dxy, dxz and dyz, these are the 3 d orbitals whose lobes are in between axes. They are not on the axis, but they are in between axis. But remaining 2 d orbitals, that is d x square minus y square and dz square, they are having their lobes along the axis. They are not in between the axis, but they are along the axis. And these role of now this fact that 3 d orbitals, they are having their lobes in between axis, and 2 orbitals, they are having their lobes on the axis. This fact now contribute too much in this CFT, or how complex is forming. Now we switch towards CFT. Some postulates of CFT are there. This CFT is a theory given or proposed by Bethe in 1929 as a simple electrostatic picture of complex formation. Before this, we know that VBT tells us about the coordination bond. Means here generally ligand is supposed to give electron pair to empty d or by empty metal ion, and therefore a coordinate bond is formed. But according to CFT, that the bond which is formed between ligand and metal ion is not exactly a coordinate bond or covalent bond, but it is just a simple electrostatic attraction or a picture between the to form a complex. It was applied to ionic crystals by Van and Penny in 1935, and therefore the name is given that crystal field theory that time. So what are the postulates? Let's see. The first one, each negative ligand, like it may be Cn minus, F minus, Cl minus, etc., is a point charge. Means each negative ligand is considered as a point charge, while each neutral ligand like NH3, H2O, which doesn't carry any charge, is considered as a point dipole, and the dipole is formed by separation of charges either temporarily or permanently. So the first postulate is that if the negative ligand is there, it is considered as point charge, and if the neutral ligand is there, it considered as a point dipole. Now the next one is, these ligands, means the ligands which are present in the complex, they approaches the central metal ion with their negative poles, because we know that a pair of electrons are going to attract towards that metal ion. Okay, so always ligand approach to central metal ion with their negative poles facing to the positively charged central metal ion. The next postulate is the bonding between metal and ligand is purely electrostatic in nature. This is the negative charge of the ligand attract towards positive charge nucleus of the metal ion, but at the same time it also repels the electrons of metal ion also. And the fourth one, there is no mixing of orbitals of metal and ligand, because here we are not talking about direct formation of bond, and therefore concept of hybridization is not here exactly. Therefore, there is no overlapping of orbitals, which is given by BBT. So, these are all the postulates. In the next period, we will see how CFT, according to CFT, complex is formed.